Run from
the
Jekyll.
guy from Jekyll,
Right
James
off the-
Nesbitt.
James
Who's
Nesbitt.
fantastic.
Yeah.
But he comes off right off the bat as a guy with serious fucking problems of his own.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's got writer's block, and he talks a lot. Matter of fact, he talks too fucking much. When it comes to scene,
As in the movie, as far as his scene
yes,
is
I mean,
like-
it's his character to be that way, but he was starting to get on my nerves. And then there was like the moment where I just couldn't think anymore. Martin Sheen gets drunk and just tells him like, "Would you shut the fuck up?"
And that's the thing is like all these characters,
Few people I know
including
like
Martin
that.
Sheen, are so flawed. I mean,
Yeah.
they're so outwardly, obviously flawed, and it is clear that each of their personal journey has a lot to do with those outward flaws that are showing. And the connection, it's not really even the journey; it's that connection they all kind of find. That reluctant, these are not people I would normally ever go up and talk to. That kind of becomes the healing element for them by Journey's End.
True, and it's a long time before Martin Sheen really warms up to him. It's almost like they're traveling together. Like the three of them are kind of like, "All right, well, we're in this together," and he's kind of like, "Well, I'm walking, and they're walking with me, but I just soon they would leave me the fuck alone."
He would like say, they'd say, "Hey, why don't you slow down?" He's like, "Well, you can fuck off if you want." And they're like,
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean? I mean, seriously, fuck off.
Well, guys, this is sounding like the worst possible fucking version of Wizard of Oz ever. So, I mean, was there anything as far as like
I got to ask,
the
it's
acting
like
or anything going on?
Yeah, because going by the trailer and then going by what you guys are saying, I mean, the most predictable thing that you can get from this movie is that, okay, he's the grumpy old guy that's walking with these odd but eventually lovable characters, and at the end of the journey, they're just one big happy family.
It's not a cheap out in that sense.
You know that's going to happen. You're right. It's not a cheap out. It's not like they're trying to hide it or anything. I mean,
it works.
I mean, it feels like what likely could happen if you were doing this. Now, what I will say about the movie is, on the negative side, Emilio Estevez. I don't remember the last time he directed a movie, but he needs to do more of them because it's just kind of amateurish, a lot of it. I mean,
amateurs is like a not as good as TV, let's say, or
like an episode of CSI.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's actually got a really great script, I think, and I think it's got really good acting in it. But you're right, like some of the direction, it's like at points it's reaching for more than it feels like he's capable technically of accomplishing, and at other points it's not reaching enough. You're like, oh, okay, this is very workman-like.
Yeah, yes, and I mean at times it can get maudlin and get that kind of like, oh, gee, I mean, it does. There's a lot of the movie that feels like a TV movie when it shouldn't, because from what it's trying to say. And then just when I just gave up on like, okay, is this going to just be TV movie quality? Then there'd be a scene, and it's because of these actors, because you had good actors who could pull it off, that would give it some emotion. So it kept going back and forth. Plus, okay, Emilio Estevez, like we told you, he's killed early in the film. You see him a couple times that he's killed, and only other times you see him, Martin Sheen stops somewhere and he has flashbacks, remembering conversations.
Yeah, he's like just picturing him in these places, giving him
the
a
thing.
sign of approval or disapproval.
If it just stopped at that, it'd be fine. But so often Martin Sheen gets to a marker and he looks over and he imagines his son there looking at him smiling, like it's almost like his ghost is following him around. But it felt more like Emilio Estevez going like, "Hey, don't forget me. I'm in this film too."
And he's like, he actually like looks at him and winks like, "Hey."
Yeah, it's almost like he's winking. And
He's
let me down, Dad.
He's the Obi-Wan Kenobi that won't go away.
He's actually glowing, taking a piss or squatting, taking a
By
shit.
the time he shows up at the Ewok celebration at the end, we've gone too far entirely. So,
I think George Lucas put him in the new the new version on Blu-ray.
when this gets re-released in 20 years, they're going to play some with Charlie Sheen. So.
Well, you say Emilio Estevez is in the Blu-ray release of Star Wars right
He's standing right next to Yoda, and Yoda's looking like, what the fuck?
Why not? I mean, it's maybe. I mean, we're joking, but maybe he hasn't directed a movie in a while. I don't know what he's directed in a while. I can't say. I just saw a bunch of TV episodes, but maybe he needs to direct more features. You think it might have had something to do with the budget of the movie too?
Well,
has that
it
feel?
was clearly pretty low budget. I don't know the precise numbers on that.
I mean, probably the most money got spent in flying the crew over to Europe to film.
Which I can forgive if, what you're saying, the acting is good enough to where you really don't take it. You really don't have a second thought about the direction or the look of the film.
Well, no. Here's the thing. Like, it's the acting that pulls it up, that made it, that kept it watchable, that kept you interested and invested.
I thought the script as well. I thought it actually was very smartly written.
Which he
Did you?
wrote.
I don't know.
I really did.
I went back and forth on it.
I liked it quite a bit, in fact, and you know how I am. I can be very. I feel like if you're entering sort of spiritual type messages that don't have any reason for existing in a story, that don't feel like they are organic, that irritates me. It just feels
Sure.
like you're kind of like going, oh, and by the way, God. And this movie does come around to a spiritual point of view, but it doesn't. It didn't feel inorganic at all
Well,
to me.
you're right.
I thought by
I
the
will
end,
give you that.
I was like, wow, that was a great transition to get you to that place, to believe these characters, why they behave the way they do at the end. And like I said, while you like all these people, you don't like them because they've charmed you over, they've won you over. You like them because you're aware of how human they are and how that makes you think about yourself and your own foibles and your own friends who forgive you for your various peccadillos. Right, guys? Right?
I didn't see the movie.
What the fuck is that? What the fuck is a peccadillo?
You still owe me $20, and I ain't
You say Piccadillo, they carry rabies, don't they?
They do. It's true.
leprosy.
You don't want to pet one if you see it in the wild.
I like the way Leon was just sitting up there, like he was like the thinker. He just waiting. I was almost like, Leon, he's finished. Huh? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, full price. No, well, I mean, it sounds like it had everything going for it except the technical aspect of it, and maybe some things with the. Sounds like your problem with the script is like he liked the script a lot, but there were only pieces of the script that you like actually filmed for the movie.
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, there's, for the most part, it's kind of like, it puts me in a state of like, well, it's not so much a like or dislike. There's just some of it that's just kind of there. It's like, it's like, okay, I didn't mind it while I was watching it, but if somebody says like, oh, should I go see it? I'd be like,
have to think
I can't
about-
really give you my endorsement. I can't have you coming back and saying like, why'd you tell me to see that? I was like, I didn't tell you that.
You'd have to think about who that person was you were saying that to contextually.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people who would absolutely hate this movie, who would just think it was boring as hell. And I know a lot of people who would think it was great. One of their favorite movies of the year, probably even.
So what?
Damn.
See,
Really?
I feel
No,
like
it's not one of mine, but I know people who would think that way, who
Really?
aren't
Okay.
stupid. It's just this is really their kind of movie.
I guess I'm more like, I know people who would think it was boring and hate it, and other people who'd be like, yeah, that was all right.
So what would you give it then? Sound like you're a matinee person on this.
It's really, it's in that, it's really a high rental for me.
Oh,
Wow, really? I thought you liked it more than that. We are no longer friends.
I was wrong. But
was I?
But if you die suddenly, I will walk with your ashes a couple blocks and spread them out.
And smoke them like Tupac.
I'd walk your ashes on this voyage because now that I've said on the air, Spill has to pay for it. You die mysteriously. I can write it off on my taxes.
What would you give it, man?
You know what? I don't think this is a perfect movie either by any stretch of the imagination, but it had a lot of not obvious charm that like grew on you over a way of ways that like despite our initial description, which after hearing you guys react to it go, oh, so it's bad, right? I was like, oh, I guess I can see how you would have gotten that from what we said.
No, I never thought it was bad. I just, I'm
well,
sorry.
no,
go ahead.
you haven't seen it, so it just
Well,
sounded
I didn't
like
even get from your
that's-
description. I mean, even after both hearing like what you're saying, I still want to see the movie.
Right. It is worth seeing. And for me, it was appealing to me. I thought we didn't mention the cinematography, which I thought was really nice at some points.
Yeah,
But
some
then again,
points.
you could film almost anything in that part of the world.
Yeah.
And you'd go, wow, that's fucking gorgeous.
Exactly.
I really want to go there and check that shit out.
Camera and a tripod, here's your award.
There you go. You could have one of those little like flip phone things and like, just film people like, wow, amazing cinematography.
James Cameron presents.
And it did. It was weird that it actually made me go, you know what? I would totally, I hope one of y'all dies soon so I can do that voyage because that was fun. I was like, I would do that shit with one of y'all's ashes.
You can do that on your own.
Ashes might get heavy after a while. I might just dump them on the way somewhere.
I like the way
Don't take my spare parts to a fucking pawn shop.
No, but I give it a matinee, and I think, yeah, it could have been better, but I felt it was a strong effort from Estevez considering his career as a director hasn't really been stand out. So,
Yeah.
okay.
He stands out to me. I'm sorry. I love fucking Maximum Overdrive and Info Man. And
Yeah, he didn't direct,
didn't direct
those
those.
movies.
okay. Sorry.
it makes me kind of sad to hear that. It's not like a full price movie, man, because it seems like with Emilio Estevez and his dad Martin Sheen working together, that if they wanted this to be a close personal project for
Well,
them.
they shouldn't have made their only on-screen appearance be like in Heat.
Yeah, well, they just so they're hardly having any scenes together.
Well, they might not have even been in the same room together more than once, really.
Yeah, I think there's 2, possibly 3 scenes where they dialogue back and forth with each other, and they're short.
Did they not have that one shot of Emilio Estevez with his hands around his dad, and he's like, "Fuck you, Charlie. Dad loves me best."
That's in the credits.
Isn't that the whole film, really?
Hey, that kid took my bag. Hey! Hey! You can keep the pack! Just give me the box! You don't choose a life, Dad. You live one.
What, you can do this on a bike? Why the hell are we walking?